person who sent me this question is clearly a monster. Because why would you do this to me? I can hear my neighbours like whispering in the garden. Surely that's every fat girl's dream. Do you really want me to pick my favourite child here? Like, really? Hello, I'm Charlotte and this is Books and Bargains. Today I'm coming to you with my 1K Q&A video. So last Sunday I asked you for questions and today I'm going to answer them. I think I'm probably going to have to split this into two parts because there's a lot of questions. Some of the questions were really similar, so I've tried to kind of amalgamate them into one. And then right at the very end, we will pick a giveaway winner. So yeah, without further ado, let's just hop into the questions. So question number one is, if you had to choose one place from a favourite book to spend a day, where would it be and why? And I've put some thought into these answers, probably too much thought, but originally I was gonna say that I would go to either Emberfall or Shil Shallow from the A Curse So Dark and Lonely trilogy. But then I remembered a lot of people get killed there, like a lot of people. Thought that probably wasn't the best. But then I think I would just go to Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory because surely that's every fat girl's dream. Like, why wouldn't I want to go somewhere where I can... Actually, you're not allowed to drink chocolate from the river, are you? But you're allowed to eat everything else. Like, I'd love to just go round and just eat all the sweets. Literally, that is all that I can think of right now. So yes, that's where I would go. I would go to Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory. Question two is, if you were a book, what kind of book would you be and why? Well, I asked Tom what he thought of this question and he straight away said, you definitely have sprayed edges. So he knows me well and he knows my book taste well. So I think that if I was a book, I would definitely be a paperback and I would definitely have sprayed edges, and I'd also have illustrations because I think adult books could do with more illustrations. Like, we all need a bit of a visual now and again. Something maybe like a hybrid between like the Heartstopper graphic novels, and the story would probably be a bit like Bridget Jones. I can't see myself having a serious storyline if I was a book. And I think the sprayed edges would either have to be yellow because it's my favourite colour, or rainbow because rainbow's my favourite colour. I don't know if you can tell, I'm really tired this evening and I've got a bit of tummy pain, so... but I still wanted to film, so if I don't make any sense, I apologise. Question number three is, which video are you most proud of? And I was thinking about this because I answered this in my BookTube reflections tag, but in that tag I was literally just reflecting on the previous year, whereas I think the video out of all my videos that I'm most proud of is my very first one. I might try and put a little clip of it on the screen here while I'm talking, but it was just filmed on my phone. I mean, I still film on my phone, but I had no idea what I was doing with editing. I had no idea with lighting and background and things like that. So, but it took so much confidence to pick up the camera and just start. And I mean, I am so glad that I did now. But yeah, I think that's probably what I'm most proud of, is my first video, just picking up the camera and starting. Anyway, question number four is, who is your favourite character from books you've read? And this, I mean, whoever sent me this question, it's like, do you really want me to pick my favourite child here? Like, really? So I'm trying not to use the same books and things for more than one question here. I'm trying to spread the love a little bit. And I am quite a fickle person. So like, if I answered these questions next week, you might get a completely different answer. But I think I'm going to go with Noah from Simon James Green's books, because Noah is kind of the male me. I was that geek at school. I tried not to be, but I was, let's put it that way. And so I have a real soft spot in my heart for Noah. So I think I'm going to go with him. Question 5 is, what is the prettiest book you own? And again, I do have a few pretty books, but the one I'm going to share with you was ever so kindly gifted to me from my friend Victoria over at What Victoria Read. If you don't know who Victoria is, you probably are quite a new subscriber here, because I would say that I mention Victoria at least once in every video. But when I hit 1,000 subscribers, I didn't really, so I hit 1,000 subscribers now, it must have been 6 weeks ago. So by the time you're seeing this video, I'm nearly at 1,100, which, I mean, I can't even think about that, because if I think of 1,100 people sitting watching this, I'd just curl up in a ball down there. However, obviously Victoria knew that I'd hit 1k, and I didn't really feel like celebrating at the time. I was really struggling with my depression, and she sent me this book, and I think it may be the most beautiful thing that anyone's ever sent me. And it's Mary Poppins, but it's illustrated by Lauren Child. Now, Lauren Child, you might recognise the illustrations, but she illustrated Charlie and Lola on TV. And if I just show you one of the title pages, look how stunning they are. Yeah, this book is just so beautiful that I thought I would have to share that with you. But actually, I've just spotted a second book that I want to put in here as well. I know I'm cheating here. There should be one answer to every question, but sue me. So I also want to show, this is Megan Hess's New York Through a Fashion Eye. I also have the Paris one of this. And look at these illustrations. I mean, you can't tell me that that is not beautiful. I'm a sucker for a really good illustrated book. Question 11 is, what author would you love to interview? And again, I was thinking about this one. I was going to say Jacqueline Wilson, because Jacqueline Wilson is like my childhood hero. This whole shelf here are Jacqueline Wilson hardbacks. I have Jacqueline Wilson paperbacks over there. So yeah, I could have easily gone down that route. But I think if I ever got the opportunity to meet Jacqueline Wilson, I would just be like I'd go completely shy, and I don't think I'd even be able to talk to her. I think I'd just stand there like, hi. So I'm going to go with CJ Scoose, because I would love to interview her and ask her all about Rhiannon and how she came up with Rhiannon and just everything like that. I'd love to talk to her about that world and ask her why. Basically. Question number 7 is, who is your go-to author, and which author do you own the most books from? Go-to author, again, I read such a variety of authors that I wasn't sure who to put for this one. So I decided to go with Claire Mackintosh, because I have read all 5, if you count the quick reads, all 5 of Claire Mackintosh's books so far, and I've given them all a 4 or 5 stars. So she to me is an insta-buy author, because can't get over how much I loved her books, to the point that even being a paperback collector, I bought After the End in hardback, because I just had to read it as soon as it came out. But author that I own the most from, there's a few that I have big collections of. So for example, the Donna Douglas Nightingale Nurses series, I have the whole collection of that, having never read one of them, because when the charity shops are open, I love putting collections together. I love hunting them down. I love all of that. So there's that. I also have most of C.L. Taylor's books, and I've only read one, and I didn't particularly enjoy it. So I'm a little bit scared. I did say on my wrap up, if you've watched it, if there's a C.L. Taylor book that you absolutely love, please let me know, because that will probably be where I go next. Question 8 is, do you think where you live affects your reading? And I don't know if this was kind of directed at me particularly if where I live affects what I read, or just people in general. So I think yes, it probably does. And for example, I live in rural Leicestershire. That makes it sound a lot posher than it is. But I live in a small village outside of Leicester, and I grew up in quite a poor town in the West Midlands. I grew up in Dudley, if any of you know where that is. And when I lived in Dudley, I was always reading books about London and the fashion world, and I read a lot of books about New York, kind of Gossip Girl type things, and it was all that I just wanted to escape where I was living. And then I moved to Leicester for uni, and while I was at uni I lived right in the city centre of Leicester. And then while I was living there, I started to read more books about people that live by the sea and live in the countryside. And I think because I read a lot of books set in our world, I tend to read books that are set places that I would like to live. So at the moment I'm obsessed with like Cornwall and just small villages and like Lake District and places like that. On a broader note as well, I think your access to kind of bookshops and libraries will affect what you read. Where I live at the moment, I had just started using my library until lockdown happened, and I've used the library in inner city Leicester as well, and the variety of books in both of them are completely different. So I think that, and as well, charity shops. When I go charity shopping, I've been charity shopping in London and I've been charity shopping in Dudley and Leicester, and the books that are available are obviously quite different depending on where you live and who's donating what, which I think is quite fascinating really. Question 9 is, if you could bring one character to life, who would it be? And again, I really had to think hard through this one, and I've got 2 answers. Side note here, I don't know if anybody watches this that I went to primary school with, but if you did, hi. When I was in year 4, I won like a head teacher's award thing, and I can't remember what I actually won it for. They used to give them out at like the end of term for like exceptional work and things. And I remember as he was reading it out, he was like, yeah, it goes to they didn't say the name at first. They said this person has done this, this, this and this. And then at the end he said, oh, and Mrs. Bagnall says that this person always has 2 things to say. And it was me. So, tangent over. The 2 characters that I would like to bring to life. Firstly, I want to bring Bob back. If you haven't read the books or you haven't seen the movie A Street Cat Named Bob, it is James Bowen was a recovering heroin addict who met this cat Bob, and Bob changed his life, and Bob sadly passed away last year. And I would love to bring Bob back and have Bob as my cat. I love my cats, but I just want a whole house full of cats. And then an actual person, I think that I would bring Lily from Bethany Rutter's Melt My Heart, because she just seems like my kind of person. I think that we would have a fantastic time. And she lives in Brighton, I think. So maybe I could go and live there with her. Question 10 is, what is your comfort read? And I've kind of touched on this already, but I think something that's not too serious and is set in a small village. And one of the series that I definitely read for comfort is Agatha Raisin. Now, Agatha Raisin is a busybody. She moves from a PR job in London to a small town and finds herself getting involved in everybody's business. She's not particularly a likeable character at times, but I just love the old busybody. So yeah, anything in the Agatha Raisin series is definitely a comfort read for me. Question 11 is, if you were a chocolate bar, what would you be? Now, I like chocolate. I like a lot of chocolate, but I'm going for a Tony's Chocolonely bar. Tony's are a brand who are all for equality between the people that grow the cocoa beans right down to the people that sell the chocolate. And I really like that philosophy, and I think that's very much dear to me. I believe in a more equal world, and I think that especially in England and the world in general, it's disgusting how much the rich have compared to the poor. Like, nobody needs billions and billions of pounds when there are legitimately people starving. But I'll get off my soapbox for now. That is a completely different video. However, yes, Tony's Chocolonely, and I would probably have it filled with all the weird and wonderful. I would definitely have something sweet in it, maybe cherries, because I love cherries, and something salty like pretzels. I would definitely go for that sweet and salty vibe, and that would be me as a chocolate bar. Question 12 is, what has been your best bargain? And I'm not sure if I've ever shared this in a video, but this could also have been in a contender for the prettiest book, and it is this. This is the Folio Society Pink Fairy book, and let me show you. That's the cover, and it is in mint condition. And before I bought this, I didn't really know much about the Folio Society other than I'd seen their books for ridiculous prices. And I found this in a charity shop in Derby. Oh, and it's got pink sprayed top. And when I saw it, it was on the shelf like so, like that. And I saw it across the room, and it had like one of these stickers here that said Manager Special. And I thought, oh, that's going to be really expensive, because this charity shop, I think everything was £1. So I was like, oh, well, they know that that's not going to be £1. And as I went over, I turned it like that, and it had got just here £3. And I was like, excuse me? £3? So yeah, I picked that up and I ran out with it, basically. Biggest bargain. Question 13 is, have you bought a book from a charity shop that has a letter inside from a previous owner? Now, I haven't had a letter, but two things that I do remember. I bought a book from the Oxfam shop in Leicester, and I can't off the top of my head remember what book it was, but there was a post-it inside that said, it was the guy's Instagram handle, which is Bookworm Neil. I don't know if he watches my videos, but if you do, hi. And it said, like, it was just a little like, I really enjoyed this book, hope you do too. And I really like that. And then the second one, I can't remember if it was either How to Be Parisian or Alexa Chung's book that I borrowed from the library. And every few pages there was a post-it note basically slagging off what was said in the book, and that was just too funny. I laughed through that. That was before I started on BookTube, or I definitely would have shared it here. Number 27 is, what would the perfect book be for you? The elements, plot, cover, etc. 3 words for this one: sapphic, Christmas, romance. That is all I want in my life, is a sapphic Christmas romance. I want it to have a bit of smut, kind of the Brown Sisters trilogy levels of smut. I want it to be Christmassy, you know. I want them to meet either where like one of them throws a snowball and hits the other one, or drinking Glühwein at a German Christmas market. I'm trademarking all of these. If any of you decide to release that book, I will not be happy, because I need to write this book, apart from I can't write. But anyway, and it would have sprayed edges, probably candy cane striped sprayed edges. That's what I need. Question 15 is, what is your favourite meal? And I thought I could probably be boring here and talk about like what is my actual favourite meal to make at home, which for the record is salmon, rice and broccoli. However, 3 meals that stand out to me in my lifetime as my like death row meals, that if I was on death row, can you ask for 3 meals on death row? I would anyway. They could only say no, can't they? So first was Bella Italia on mine and Tom's first Valentine's Day all those years ago. We don't do Valentine's anymore, but the first year we did. And we had this, it was a lobster and crayfish ravioli, and it was so good, and I've never had anything like it since, and it's never been on the Bella Italia menu when we've been in since, and I really want that again. The second meal, we went to Zante for my 29th birthday. We didn't go for my 29th birthday, it just happened that we were there on my 29th birthday, and we had this halloumi like baked in honey, and that was amazing. And then the other one for our wedding anniversary last year, and I don't know whether it's just because this is what sticks in my head as like the last kind of fancy meal out before we went into lockdown, but we went to KL in Leicester and had this. First of all, we had this like seafood platter, which was amazing. KL is Kerala cuisine, and it was just so good. And then we had this lamb curry with this, it was a bread, but it was like a floury pancake, and it was just so light. That has got to be, those are my 3 ride or die meals. Question 16 is, if you had the power to rewrite a book you've read, which one would it be and why? And this would definitely be The Furies, which I think was by Katie Lowe, because it had such a strong blurb, but the book didn't live up to it. Like, everything that was written in that blurb that I wanted and I wanted to love just didn't materialise in the book. So I'd love to rewrite that and actually make it the book I hoped it would be. So that is that one. Question 17, I am definitely cheated on, and it is, if you could only read 5 books for the next 10 years, which would they be? So I am going for Far From the Tree by Robin Benway, as that was my favourite book of last year. I'm going for Full Disclosure by Cameron Garrett, because that's been my favourite book of this year so far. I'm going for Hungry Hearts, because that's a compilation of stories. And then this is where I cheat a little bit. I am going for the A Curse So Dark and Lonely trilogy, because I'm sure it doesn't exist yet, but that will probably be printed in one book, that, you know, like a collector's edition. So that's one book. And I'm also going for the Brown Sisters trilogy. Sue me, but that's what I'm doing. Question 18 is, what is your favourite time of day to read? And I would say that this would have to be the golden hour, when I sit in my chair over there and have my curtains open and the sun's just going down and it's just that nice glow to read by. Bonus points if it's raining. I love sitting listening to the rain while I'm reading. I'll usually have a cup of tea, and sometimes I'll let Ernie come in with me, but sometimes he sits in the window and behaves himself, but more than not he just tries to climb the shelves and attack things. I have now been rambling for nearly half an hour, which once I've edited some of the rambles out probably won't be too long, but I'm going to leave it there for today. So this is part 1 of my Q&A. Come back on Wednesday for my answers to part 2 and to find out the winner of the giveaway. I drew it already on a random comment generator, so I know who it is, but you guys don't. So until next time, look after yourselves, and I will see you on Wednesday. Bye.